Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chess Diagnostic. Today I'm going to make a case for why you should play the Queen's Indian Accelerated as black. Now, I really like this opening. I found it about a year ago, and ever since I found it, I have really kind of sidestepped a lot of the problems I was having as black, playing either the Benoni or the Queen's Gambit Declined or the Nimzo Indian. And I really like it because you almost seem to always get a very playable position, and lots of grandmasters have played this line too, so let's get into it right away. So if white plays d4, it's a d4 opening, then you'll play knight to f6, and then after the normal move c4, you play b6. So that's why it's called the Queen's Indian Accelerated, and instead of playing something like e6 first, basically what you're going to do is you're going to fianchetto this bishop, and it also sidesteps a lot of white's theoretical possibilities. For example, if you go back and you play something like e6 and try to play bishop to b4, going for the Nimzo Indian, that relies on white playing knight to c3. But of course, he can sidestep that and go to the Catalan with knight to f3, and then, knight to f3, g3, fianchetto the bishop, and then castle. And basically, you're kind of left trying to decide what to do. And it can also cause some problems in your own development if you decide to play b6 later. So you just play b6 right away, and there's really no reason not to do this. You develop your queen side, and, since the queen's pawn opening can be a little more slow to develop the king side for white, then actually you can take your own time to develop your own queen side. So to me, I like the logic of that as well. Now, I'm actually going to cover just a quick sideline. So as white, I would say if you do play this, that's why I'm trying to do openings for both sides, I would recommend that you actually play f3. And this is probably the line that can cause the most problems for the Queen's Indian Accelerated, and I've faced it a lot, actually. It seems like a lot of players seem to know what to do in these positions, even if they're like 1500. So you'll see f3, and of course the idea is to play e4 and get a huge center. And, of course, since black is taking his time to develop his own king side, then white can do that too, and in the meantime, get a huge center. All right, so let's flip back and just go through the line. So, basically you can see that high-level players have played this, or at least, 2200 plus, and then you'd see f3. All right, so we're already into some games. It looks like, I'm analyzing this along with you. So it looks like Mamedyarov has played this against Ivanchuk. So let's see a typical line. So the idea is to play d5 and try to break up the center, but of course objectively the evaluation, because of the extra space and activity of white, is going to be a little worse for black. So after c takes, you'll see this line a lot because it's quite intuitive as black and white. So e5, and now the knight comes back, and the typical idea is to play c5, trying to put pressure on this backward pawn, and then you develop the knights, you bring your bishop here, or even bring it out to b4 to pin the knight, and then you just castle. So that's a very simple plan, and it gives you very simple plans in the middle game as well. All right, so actually let's go a little more. So you see f4, and let's just pull up this. Let's just pull up this game. All right, so we do see c5, and exactly what I was talking about. All right, knight develops, takes. All right, so I've played these moves actually quite a bit, and this is a Mamedyarov versus Ivanchuk game. So you can see it's quite intuitive and logical to play, and this is counting on white playing aggressively with f3. Now, you're not going to face that all the time. All right, let's just finish out this game. All right, so again, f6, a typical idea, trying to basically get rid of that e5 pawn that's cutting into the center against black. All right, let's just keep going here. And you can see the evaluation of this is actually completely equal. Very playable for black, and you don't really need to know that much theory. All right, so I don't know if we want to finish out this game. Black won. All right, so we get some tactics. Takes. All right, completely winning pawn endgame. As you can see, it's not the opening that won Mamedyarov this game. It's his tactical and positional play. All right, so let's go back to the analysis board. All right, so let's just review this line. So basically with f3 and e4, you'll play d5, and you'll try to just go for pressure against d4 and e5 with your pawns and pieces. All right, so let's go if he doesn't play. Let's say instead of f3, he plays something more normal, like knight to f3. Yeah, and you can see that Magnus Carlsen, Sergei Karyakin's played this. It's very stable, and basically it's kind of solved a lot of my problems because I can just play this for most every d4, c4. You just go for knight to f6 and b6, fianchetto the bishop. All right, so it looks like in this we actually get more of a Catalan type structure, the anti-Queen's Indian system. All right, so this is the more normal development. So after, if white plays g3, you play e6, and then you develop the bishop to e7, you castle. Now, I don't consider that you'd really need to know so much theory in this because it's very simple and logical. The next moves are going to be d5 and c5. All right, develop the knight there, putting pressure on e5. So it looks like he takes there, or you could take there. Where do we go out of the line? Yeah, so you don't really need to memorize this. You should just know the main structures, basically. With the knights here, the bishops here, and then your ideas of, playing c5, trying to put pressure on d4. And there's just a lot of moves. So, of course, you will learn the standard middle game plans when you play the opening or you get these positions, you start playing it, and then you'll analyze, where you went wrong. Because it's not so much knowing the plans necessarily as getting experience and being comfortable with the resulting positions from the opening. So I don't want to overwhelm you with too many lines and ideas in this series that I'm making here. I just want to get out some basic positions and openings that I use in my own games, and I think they would actually help people a lot because it took me a long time to kind of find these lines that I use, and I've played a lot of different stuff. I probably played the Queen's Gambit Decline for a while, the Nimzo Indian, even the Queen's Indian. I think I played against Alexandra Botez in 2012 in the Oregon Open, or maybe 2013. And she actually beat me in that game because I really didn't know what I was doing in the Queen's Indian. I just decided to play it in that game. And if I would have known about these main ideas in the Queen's Indian Accelerated, I think I would have done a lot better. All right, so let's just review. So d4, knight to f6, and then b6. That's really all you need to know. And I would say take this position and just play some games with it, try to get these positions, and then go from there. Now, I covered the main topical lines with f3. We can just review that here with d5. And then if he doesn't go for that, you see something like knight to f3, and you just play the same moves basically anyway. You end up playing d5. As you can see, it's a very versatile opening. It does not really depend on what white does, and you can just get a lot of playable middle game positions from this opening. So tomorrow, I'm going to look at what I would play if you want to play d4 as white, and I'll just cover some ideas in the London system, which I play once in a while. It's very versatile, and there's a lot of good videos about it. Actually, I would recommend Hanging Pawns has a London system video. But what I'm trying to do with this series is to just cover standard typical positions in the first couple moves, and I would recommend that you take these positions and just play them yourself. If they don't feel natural for you, then look for something else. And I think you would actually find, though, just in my experience, that once I found these positions, they're very playable, they're very solid, and this is, of course, relying, too, on your opponent playing with best play. A lot of times you'll see that they'll make mistakes in these openings right away, and you just follow your ideas and end up with a much more active and a much better position. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the future.